In 2017, an estimated 219 million cases of malaria occurred worldwide, compared with 239 million cases in 2010 and 217 million cases in 2016. 15 countries in Sub-Saharan Africa and India carried 80% of the global malaria burden. 5 countries accounted for nearly half of malaria cases worldwide, and of which Nigeria has 25% of malaria burden. On today's edition of Africa Complementary and Alternative Medicine, what we'll be looking into is malaria, the causes of malaria, how we can prevent it, and how we can treat it using what God has blessed us with, ranging from herbs, plants, and a whole lot of things that we'll be discussing today. I welcome you to another edition of African Complementary and Alternative Medicine. I am Oluwaseun, Oyebade. With me on the program to discuss malaria, I have with me Mrs. Christiana Olakpadeju, and she'll be the one to take us on a journey of how we can treat malaria and mostly how we can prevent it. I welcome you to the program, Mrs. Olakpade Christiana Ojo. Thank you for coming on the program.
And thank you for having me.
Moving straight to malaria, with the number of cases that we have in Nigeria, Nigeria accounting to 25 million cases in Nigeria alone, what can we say is malaria?
Malaria on its own is not just an independent occurrence or infection. It has a lot to do with our lifestyle. It has a lot to do with our attitude towards our environment. We all know that malaria doesn't just happen. There is a vector known as mosquito that causes malaria. So basically, the problem of us, our problem as a people, is that we only focus on what mosquito causes. We are not looking at how we should be controlling mosquito. I read a publication sometime around last year where a group of people in a certain West African country, I think, were using fish to control mosquito. You know, you go around in our environment, you see stagnant water, you see open water bodies where mosquito can thrive. The moment mosquito continues to thrive, it will be very difficult for us to control malaria. Well, as bad as it is, yes, mosquito is thriving and you have people carrying malaria at different stages in their bodies. We must look for what can we do to control malaria. Malaria has been with us for a long time, yes, and our forefathers have been taking care of this malaria, you know, with natural plants around them. How did they take care of malaria? How were they curbing malaria? The truth is our forefathers had plants that they cultivated at the edges of their homes to ward away mosquitoes. And aside that, they had concoctions, herbal recipes, nutritional tonics that they concocted to take regularly to kill the parasite in their bloodstream.
Well, before we move forward on the treatment of malaria, I would like us to talk about the major cause of malaria, which is we having mosquitoes around us. But aside having mosquitoes around us, when we now have malaria, what are the manifestations, what are the signs and symptoms that we get to see that will make us know that, okay, we should be treated?
Unfortunately, this is a major issue that causes mistreatment or misdiagnosis of malaria. A lot of people just assume that once they feel tired, once they feel excessively thirsty, once temperature is elevated, which we know as fever, you know, that means they have malaria. You would hear a lot of people, once they have these funny symptoms or headache, they'll go like, mutiniba, you know. So iba in Yoruba is a general term that a lot of people wrongly use to describe malaria. The only way, and I repeat, the only way that malaria can be diagnosed is to go to the laboratory and have a malaria parasite test, which will confirm if malaria is present, at least at the plasma level. There is the hepatic stage where malaria is in the liver. That cannot really be diagnosed unless cannot be diagnosed with such preliminary tests unless, of course, more complicated tests are carried out. But at least the malaria in the bloodstream at the plasma level can be diagnosed by going to the laboratory and having your blood tested for malaria parasite. Because funny enough, headache can be caused by so many factors, high temperature can be caused by so many factors, thirst can be caused by so many factors. So yes, once you start feeling the symptoms, the right thing is to go to your GP and have your checkup done.
So on a normal day, we accredit what is not to malaria,
Absolutely.
And we start to treat ourselves of what is not, and at the end of the day, that's
and we begin to abuse anti-malarials. Yeah.
Well, there has been some drugs that they say it is not effective for malaria again, and that is when the ABBA comes in. That's what are the alternatives we can use. But aside that, we having malaria in babies, how can mothers prevent their babies from having malaria or not being bitten by mosquitoes? What are the normal things that at home should be done to protect the younger ones from contracting this
infection? There has been a lot of campaign regarding the use of mosquito nets. That is one step that nursing mothers especially must not take with light hand. You must cover your babies, you must make sure they sleep under mosquito nets. But where, the baby is running around, you can't cover the baby with mosquito nets all day. You must make sure that stagnant water or containers that can hold stagnant water where the larva of the mosquito can thrive, you get rid of that around your environment. As much as possible, try and reduce the population of mosquitoes or completely eliminate mosquitoes from your environment by using a lot of these, cleanliness methods. And aside that, very soon I'm going to showcase the plant on my Facebook page that we use as a mosquito repellent to, keep mosquitoes at bay. It's very common around us, but I don't have it here at the moment.
Traditional medicine have been used to treat malaria for thousands of years. With the problems of increasing levels of drug resistance and difficulties in poor areas of being able to afford and access effective anti-malaria drugs, traditional medicines could be an important and sustainable source of treatment. Now, to the treatment of malaria coming through with the ABBA and the alternative medicines that we can use. Well, not alternative, let me use the complementary medicines that we can use, having had a lot of resistance of malaria. Now, for the people that cannot even afford all these expensive drugs, what are the basic things that can be used to bring down or to get rid of this
malaria infection
once we have it in our system, or even before we have it?
Luckily for us in this part of the world, nature has blessed us with quite a lot of species, plant species that we can use. We can prepare in different ways to treat malaria infection. One of the most popular plants that we see around that a lot of people do not even pay attention to is the Terminalia species that a lot of us call almond, or generally it's just called fruit. Some people call it afara oyinbo and all of that, The Terminalia species has been extensively studied for its anti-sickling properties. Now, we know that even before the advent of pharmaceutical studies and research, our forefathers have been adding Terminalia leaves and sometimes the bark of it to their anti-malaria, or should I say anti-sickling preparations, which we know as agbo or concoctions. Along with that, most of the time, when we prepare agbo, what we call agbo, people would always, it's always a polyherb preparation. Polyherb in the sense that we use 1, 2, 3, sometimes up to 30 species of plants, including fruits, including barks, including roots, to concoct a mixture. But a simple anti-malaria tea or tonic that I would be giving us free of charge today are these plants. The first one I mentioned is the Terminalia, ewe fruit. is very common. You can find that at least it's still growing in a lot of places. The second popular fruit is the mango leaf. A lot of us enjoy the fruit of mango. It's coming out in this season now. But it's not just the fruit of mango that is useful. This is the leaf of mango. And when you are going to collect it for the purpose of preparing your anti-malaria mixture, make sure that you are getting the fresh foliage, not the very old and tough ones, because the fresh ones are known to contain more, to be richer in this chemical, in these alkaloids, in the chemical compounds. The third one, which a lot of people may find a little bit difficult, is what we call oruwo, morinda. This is the morinda species. It's quite bitter. It's different from moringa. It's not moringa. This is morinda. M-O-R-I-N-D-A. It is known as oruwo in Yoruba. Very bitter. When you ask the Elewe Omos, they will be able to get the fresh leaves for you. Add that also to your anti-malaria tonic. Another leaf which a lot of people might find quite complicated, but which is not so complicated, is what we call the storewood leaf, which is the Austonia bonei plant. It's very effective as well. It has been extensively studied as well for its rich alkaloids and anti-fever activities. Austonia bonei, also known as Ewe Ahun, not Ahun, but it is spelled in the same way. Ewe Ahun, yes, is also added to the mixture. This simple collection of leaves can help us manage simple stages of malaria. Take note, simple stages or early stages of malaria, not the very complicated ones. The moment you see that you prepare this tonic and you're administering it on the person and there is no improvement, please visit your doctor. When there is vomiting and stooling alongside the infection, please visit your doctor. These leaves will not curb the vomiting and the stooling. It is only designed, they are only concocted to help reduce the infection. And if it is actually used for a long period of time, it can actually help the person bounce back to life. But what is most important before we administer these tonics is to make sure that we do our blood test, the malaria parasite test. You can follow it up with another test to know if your tonic has been effective or not. But most of the time, it is usually very effective. And when you're treating malaria, try as much as possible not to be using different medications, especially the available pharmaceutical drugs. The problem that we see in the clinics most of the time is that a lot of people have abused these anti-malarials to the extent that the plasmodium has become resistant to whatever it is we are trying to administer on them. But luckily and thankfully, we have also realized that many of these herbal preparations are able to get rid, to take care of even the resistant malaria infections.
Okay. From the leaves you've given to us, Austonia bonei,
yes,
Ewe,
storewood,
and this is Ewe
oruwo, morinda lucida.
Very bitter.
Very bitter.
Okay.
A little bit more bitter than bitter leaf. Yes.
But not up to king of bitters.
I think it is a lot more bitter than that. Well, it depends on your taste bud.
And this is mango
leaf.
Mango leaf.
I could hold that for you. Okay.
You told us that we should
use the fresh foliage, the fresh leaves. In most plants, it is better for you to use the fresh leaves, not the senescent ones.
So, and this is a fruit. I could remember eating from this particular tree.
Yeah.
The stone and eat, and not even knowing that
it's a lifesaver.
Lifesaver.
Yes.
So now, for the treatment of malaria, are we going to have the mixture of the fresh parts of it all together, cooked all together? What is the procedure of getting it prepared? Okay,
the process here is if you want to prepare like 1 liter of the anti-malaria tonic, try and get a handful of these leaves, which will be about 500 milligrams, half a gram of the fresh leaves of everything for 1 liter to get a really thick concentration. That will be about, say, 10 leaves of mango, 10 to 12. The same thing with morinda, maybe like 8 leaves of the terminalia because it's a lot wider. And then the Alstonia, you could get about 10 to 15 leaves of the Alstonia for a 1 liter preparation. Make sure you wash very well. Wash at least like twice. Most of the time, if I'm making the preparation, in fact, I wash with salt because salt is known to be a natural disinfectant. I wash with salt at first, then I rinse away, and then I rinse the 3rd time before I boil with drinking water. Now, when you're boiling, make sure that you only boil for not more than 20 minutes. The moment it starts to boil, put it off. The essence of this is when you overboil, you destroy a lot of vitamins and folic acid that are also useful in the leaf. You also tend to destroy the essential oils, especially in the mango species. Mango is known to have very fantastic essential oils, although it has not been exploited, but well, we know it does. That's why when you prepare the anti-malaria mixture, if you are very observant, you will see some oils on the surface of the water. So do not overboil your anti-malaria mixture. And once you do a liter, you should be able to finish a liter in a day. We always advise fresh preparation as against, preparing it, refrigerating it, and having to warm it again. And most of the time, anti-malarials are better taken warm. So that's why once you prepare your 1 liter, pour it in a flask, and then you dispense it to use from there. And you should use about 300 to 350 mils at once. Use 350 mils in the morning, 350 in the afternoon, 350 at night.
Now, when it comes to you talked about one salient aspect of the preparation, about not getting it overboiled.
Absolutely.
But when it comes to a situation whereby I've seen some people, when you go to the local people to get the material for anti-malaria, and they will pack a whole lot of things for you that's just cook it inside pots. So the process whereby you cook it and it gets to spend like a week in your pot, whereby anytime you want to take it, you warm it maybe in the morning, you warm it at night, just for it to have that warm. Does it have any effect? And what the extraction that comes from it, at times it gets thicker. What effect does this have?
Preparations are different. All of these that I'm showing us today are leaf preparations. The way you will treat a leaf preparation is different from the way you will treat a preparation and extract of tree bark or root bark or, very tough fruit. So if you're dealing with barks, you may boil over and over again. Although that is not even very advisable. Because see, these plants, we try as much as possible to approach them from the angle at which we approach our foods. You all know that when you make your pot of vegetable soup or your pot of stew, and then you have to be warming it every morning before you eat it, it would have lost all its nutrients and even taste, by the 3rd or 4th day. So what we usually advise is boil everything you are going to boil and decant, filter it, remove the extracts, and then remove the leaves, and then store your extracts in the refrigerator. Yes, I said earlier that it's better you make your preparations fresh, but in a situation where you cannot, the chemical compounds still remain intact when you refrigerate for a while. But as soon as, because of power failure and all of that, as soon as it begins to lose taste, just the way you will know when microbial activity has started in your pot of soup at home, you will know that this herbal mixture is not as fresh as it was tasting the first day you prepared it. So the difference between what you would get from Elewe Omo and what you are preparing in your house is that you are making a fresh preparation of leaves, and you can't keep cooking leaves. By the time you have cooked it once, usually you have used everything useful in it. But when you are using barks, there are times when some barks you would even finish cooking, you would go back and dry them, only for you to use it again for your next preparation. The same way you can't compare, let me say, the fruit of nuclear or coconut to mango. You know, if you boil mango fruit, for instance, it will quickly get softened up compared to a whole coconut fruit. So there is always a difference between these things. It's about our knowledge of the use of these things.
Well, aside from all this, when it comes to, is there a point where you have resistance to even this herbal concoction?
Well, from my own experience from my clinical experience, I haven't seen a situation, especially with malaria treatment, where people have developed resistance to herbal anti-malaria mixtures. I haven't come across it. Usually, it might take longer to treat some people than some others, especially when they are malaria infection, when their plasma test shows that, you know, the malaria is really high in them. Some people, we have them on the mixture for like 2 weeks, some within 3 days, it's all done, some within 7 days, some within 10 days. So it depends, but I haven't seen a situation where they use this mixture and it doesn't work. That is when you are using the wrong medication for the medication for the right illness.
Well, from this and the cooking, everything being done, what age range can take this?
The beauty of herbal mixtures is that we can administer it on even a day-old baby. But as much as it is safe to administer, we shouldn't just take chances, because the moment you say that, oh, you can administer it on a day-old baby, you find people giving babies very concentrated and, you know, overdosing babies with herbs. When we have babies like that, some people at 3 months, they've started giving their babies ewedu, they've started giving them pepper and all of that. What I tell people is, if you don't know it, if you don't know about it, don't go near it. This particular mixture is safe for babies, but the only reason why you would be administering it on a baby is because you have confirmed through laboratory tests that the baby has malaria infection. You can't just administer this on a baby because the baby is crying or the baby has temperature or something like that. Most of the time, when there is no confirmation like that, what I do is I tell mothers to bathe their babies in this tonic. Okay, so you can actually use it to bathe, because the essence is for the body to absorb it. And we all know that our skin, being the largest organ of our body, is able to absorb nutrients from outside.
But I was still coming to that before you got to that point. When it comes to herbal treatments, going through the traditional way, there are points whereby after making your concoction and you get a big blanket on yourself and eat yourself up with it, you get to play with it. All these, and apart from the drinking, what effects does it really have on our health?
Now, when they say that you should inhale a herbal preparation, in essence, they want you to inhale the essential oil from the herbal preparation. You would have seen a lot of people, maybe when they have cold, when they have flu, they will tell them to prepare herbal preparations, you know, with common lemongrass, with orange peel or lemon peel, and then they will tell them to cover themselves up with it. The thing is, our bodies has different ways of ingestion, aside alternative ways of ingestion apart from our mouth. You can ingest, for instance, when you perceive perfume. When there is, you know, perfume in the hair and then you perceive it, you're taking it in. The same thing with what you are ingesting when you cover your head. Now, when you bathe or when you rub cream on your skin, you are still ingesting it. The only difference between what we put in our mouth and the one we put in our skin is, most of the time, the one in our skin does not go through digestion. Your stomach digests the foods that you eat before the body now absorbs it. The one in the skin, it only absorbs the simplest forms of, you know, compounds available in what you have prepared and rubbed on your skin. So when they say rub soap preparation, shea butter preparation, tonics like this, when they say you should bathe in it, you know, so that it's for your skin to absorb it in the purest form. You understand? So you can either drink, you can put it on your skin, or you can inhale.
Okay, there are some set of people that, okay, we've talked about we being tested before we assume that we are having malaria. But aside that, there are some people that they will say their genotype, they are prone to having malaria. How true is this saying?
Well, from scientific observations, the S gene, which is the sickle cell gene, which is found in people with AS or SS, has been described as a gene that developed as a result of adaptation to malaria in this part of the world. You know, while the body was trying to fight malaria off, it reduced the surface area of the red blood cell so that the malaria infection would not have, you know, enough place to thrive. Unfortunately, the effect of that is that people who now inherit the two genes from their parents would end up with certain conditions that are unpalatable. That being said, yes, it is true. You have a lot of people developing these conditions so that they could be stronger. But the beauty of the mixture is whether you are AA, whether you are AS, whether you are SS. In fact, you could drink this when you don't even have malaria because it's going to act as a preventive. So this is something that in my own household, for instance, we drink it the way you drink your green tea, the way you drink your early morning beverage. You can prepare it and just enjoy yourself, knowing that you are fortifying your body against the symptoms of malaria and against the malaria infection itself.
So this is safe even for us to take without having...
Absolutely. Very safe.
This one's really your household. So now everyone that is watching us right now on how to make themselves more ill and hearty when it comes to preventing malaria and even getting rid of it. But when it comes to the other side, whereby the malaria gets to our system so much, can we still use this same herbal concoction?
In that case, in such situations of severe infection, we call it severe infection, I always advise visit your doctor, because that would amount to, you know, self-medication and the rest of it, which is very wrong, which is why we have lost a lot of people, because they were trying to self-medicate, believing that what they are using in the house is sufficient. The thing about infection is when there is an infection, other damages are being done in the body that only the doctor in the hospital can say that, okay, aside treating malaria infection, we may need to stabilize the electrolyte balance of this individual. We may need to, you know, give him this or that. Some people, when they have malaria, they are known to experience insomnia. This will not treat insomnia. And in a situation where the infection is so severe, while they are trying to battle the infection and the person has insomnia, there may be elevated blood pressure. So all of these things would become, you know, an aggregate of conditions that need to be attended to in a hospital.
There is nothing like being informed, and as a matter of fact, nothing can be compared to having adequate information. Information is priceless, and the information that we have given to you, our dear viewers, today, I know it is something that will remain so priceless. In the treatment of malaria, Mrs. Christiana Olafade has given us a way to. We also have away fruits, the popular fruits that we throw stones at, that we eat. And so we also have, this is mango leaf, and the other one is Astonia Budnei. Putting all these together is one of the simplest ways of getting our body immune against malaria. That is for the preventing malaria. And also, it's another way of us getting rid of malaria at its early stage. But as she has said that when it gets to a particular point whereby it is now so condensed in our body system, then we need to see a doctor so that we will avoid self-medication. For the information that you've given to us on today's edition of AFRICAM, we want to appreciate you so much. This is so priceless, and I know people watching us at home, we always want to use this not just as their own household green tea, but to Nigerians and Africans watching us as their own household. We need to prevent it, and we need to keep ourselves ill and healthy. Remember, a sound mind and a healthy body makes us to get well in our day-to-day activities and make us to achieve whatsoever we aim at achieving. Thank you so much for being a resource person to us.
Thank you for having me.
We appreciate it so much.
Thank you.
That is that on today's edition of African Complementary and Alternative Medicine, where I enjoyed myself on this edition of today's program discussing malaria. Till next week, when we will be coming your way again on another exciting edition of African Complementary and it's another topic. Stay tuned and keep enjoying your Africa. I am Oluwaseun, Oyebade, and do have a wonderful day.